Hello and welcome to the Yarn and Yarn YouTube channel. My name's Angela. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Rainbow Ange. And here on the channel you can find videos which are about my adventures in knitting, crochet, spinning and being a yarn store owner. Thank you for anyone who is returning to watch my videos again, and a big hello and welcome to anybody who is coming to check me out for the first time. So this video is going to be slightly different. It's my shop update video this week rather than my projects video. But this week I recorded little snippets of my days as we went through the week, or at least half of the week. I think I started on Wednesday. And I've edited those together just to give you a little snapshot of what my average week looks like. I hope you enjoyed the video. It is somewhat different than my usual content, but I enjoy making it. So yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy watching. Morning, it's Wednesday and I am just heading into work. Wednesday is the start of my busy couple of days. We have 2 groups that meet in the shop today and then 3 groups that meet in the shop tomorrow. So Wednesday morning, before I go and open the shop, it's cake run. So I'm heading off to the local shops so that I can stock up on cake and biscuits and treats for all of my group members. So yeah, I'm just walking in to work today, and I'm taking a slightly scenic route. So if I just swizzle around behind me, you can see I'm walking up a local cycle path. This used to be a railway track, and I'm just actually about to pass my house. You can just about see my house. It's the 3rd one in. You can only really just see the window, but so that's how my day is starting today. So I've arrived at the shop. I'm being a bit hot and bothered and I have purchased a giant pile of cake for the groups this week. Here it is, stacked up in my little kitchen area. So I went with a tub of brownies, some lemon bakewells, there's a carrot cake, salted caramel cake and some chocolate filled brioche. Annoyingly, I also realised while I was at the shop that I'd forgotten my lunch. At least I realised that when I was at the shop. So I've had to buy myself a pre-packaged sandwich, which I don't like doing, but I did get myself a little treat. So I won't be having any of that cake, but I've got myself some cheesecake slices. Cheesecake is my favourite, so I couldn't resist. But just so you know that I'm not completely cake obsessed, I have got myself a nice little punnet of cherries there as well. So it's 9:45 and I can get on with the rest of the day. The shop officially doesn't open until 10:30 at the moment, but as I'm already here, then I shall put the open sign on. But we've got some new yarn in as of yesterday. So I have printed out some new shelf price tags. Before the group arrives this morning, I'm going to laminate those and get those up on the shelves. So I have laminated and cut out the new price tags, and I have this giant big roll of stick-on Velcro. So it's looks like this, and I just chop little pieces off and use that to stick on the shelves. It means that my price tags are interchangeable, replaceable, so when I move things around it's quite straightforward to pull one price tag off and put it up somewhere else if I decide to have a reorganisation in the shop, or if we get new yarn and I'm taking something else off. It's quite easy to get the prices displayed so that customers can easily see how much everything in the shop costs. So I thought I'd give you a quick flash of the new yarns. So the first one is this Stylecraft Candy Swirl, and I've just bought in 3 new colours, so the purple, the pink and the blue. I didn't really have cubby space for them, so I've put them in with the Sirdar colour wheels. And one of the reasons I actually ordered in the Candy Swirl is because I'm having real trouble getting hold of stock of the colour wheel. So the colour wheel comes in 6 colours at the moment, and every time I try and order they're just out of stock. So there is a price difference between the two, and that's because they're both 150 grams, but the Sirdar colour wheels are a wool acrylic blend and the Candy Swirls are just 100% acrylic, so that really accounts for the price difference. But I thought I'd give a few colours a go. The Candy Swirl comes in a lot more colours, but it's always a risk when you bring in new yarn to see how popular it's going to be. So I thought I'd just get some colours that weren't really reflected in the colour wheels just to see. And as luck happened, as I unpacked the order yesterday, these only just came in, a lady walked into the shop and I had the bag of purple Candy Swirls on the desk, and she's like, that's exactly what I wanted, and she picked one up and bought one straight away. So that was serendipity, I think. So the second new yarn that arrived yesterday is another Stylecraft yarn, and it is Stylecraft Batik Elements, and I just thought I'd show you quickly how my price tag system works. So I had to have a little bit of a rearrange. I'm just going to flip you this way around to create a whole new cubby space at the top. And as luck would have it, I had a few bags of a discontinued yarn that I've been meaning to pull off the shelf for a little while. So I did that, rearranged this slightly, and so previously I had some of the special DK in this cubby, so you can see the little Velcro back, and then I've got my new price tag, and then it should be, it's a bit tricky one-handed, but I try and put the Velcro pieces in the same place, so it's just as easy as popping that on. I'll need to straighten that up a bit, but you get the idea. So that's job number 1 done for the day. I've got about half an hour left before my group arrives. So the second quick job of the day is just to arrange my table slightly. So this morning's group is a crochet group. So I tend to have a few patterns and things out on the table when I don't have classes, but I like to try and keep the table relatively clear for when people arrive. At the moment, if I just pause this and show you what's on the table. So at the moment I have a few publications and also a basket of all of the colours of the new Batik Elements, which I just showed you in the cubby. The table's a bit unorganised this morning. I think because I was unpacking the order yesterday, things got a bit piled up in the middle, but you can see I've got a big pile of pattern books and magazines. So I'm just going to empty the table a bit because it's a crochet group this morning. I'll put out a couple of there's a few new patterns and things that have come in with the new yarns, so I'll put a few of the crochet patterns out, and then I shall be ready for the group and to get on with the rest of the day. Morning class is finished, and I just wanted to show you that ridiculously the cake pile has grown. Happens quite a lot. Our lovely group members quite often bring in some of their own treats to add to the pile, so yeah, I think we're going to have enough to last the rest of the week. Morning guys, it's early Thursday morning. I'm stood in my kitchen at home. I've got a slightly different day today. So on a Thursday we have 3 groups. Oh, sorry. I've got a bit soggy hair. I've just stepped out of the shower, so excuse the general first thing in the morning appearance. Probably I shouldn't be recording this right now. Anyway, so in the shop we have 3 classes on a Thursday, but the first one on a Thursday morning is actually led by another lady who I inherited from the previous owner. So this morning I'm going off to do a bit of volunteering. I used to work at the local volunteer bureau here in the Vale of Glamorgan where I live, and just before I left they started a new project enabling people who had a history of mental ill health to access volunteering opportunities, with the idea that they will hopefully eventually build up some skills and be able to get back into the workforce if that's what they feel able to do. And as part of that they've developed some what they call pre-volunteering opportunities, so some activities which are designed to help get people interacting socially and build up a bit of confidence. And one of those groups was a craft group, so with an emphasis on knitting and crochet. And the lady who usually runs that group is on her holiday this week, so I said that I'd go along and sort of facilitate the group in her place. So that's what I'm up to this morning. I've been gathering a few resources, both for that and for some of my regular customers. So I had a message from one of my regular customers wanting a particular pattern. I think it came through about 9 o'clock last night. So I've been upstairs in my own craft room, raiding my craft books to see what I can find for her, to give her some ideas of where to start. And also I've been looking through some bits and pieces for the volunteer group as well this morning, so I'll just give you a quick flash of what I found. So first off, I found this, someone gave me a bag of magazine inserts and things like that a few weeks ago, and one of the little leaflets in there was one to come up with some projects for charity knitting. And the volunteer group that I'll be working with this morning are hoping to have a stall, I think it's like a local Christmas craft fair, to sell some of the items that they've been making for charity. So I thought they might find some patterns in there. I also have this one, which is a crochet leaflet, but I thought maybe something along the lines of this cute little drawstring bag might be quite easy for them to whip up for their charity stall. And then the lady who messaged me last night wanted a particular granny square block, and I have this excellent resource, 200 crochet blocks by Jan Eaton. So I'm taking this into the shop as I think she'll find some inspiration for a starting point in this. So yeah, that's me this morning. I'm just going to quickly grab some breakfast, and I need to head off to the shop in about 10 minutes. So I'm not sure how much time I'm going to have to record adventures for the rest of the day, but we'll see. I'm just waiting. It's now 9 o'clock. I've just arrived in the shop. I've got about half an hour before my lift arrives to take me to the volunteer group. So I'm just going to quickly do a social media post. I really struggle to find time to do social media on a Wednesday and Thursday. I try and do a post every day, but it doesn't always work out. Just as I say, time factor really. So I'm going to quickly pop onto Facebook and post a picture of a lovely customer project, and then I shall be off to my group. So it's now much later in the day. It is getting on for 4:45. The shop's open for another half an hour, but usually at this time of day things slow down. So since I spoke to you this morning, I did my stint with the volunteer group, which was really fun. They're all working on lots and lots of different projects, and I was able to give a few of them some hints and tips to carry on with what they were working on, so they were all really pleased. And then I got back to the shop at it was probably, it must have been 12:30. So unfortunately I missed our morning group here. I did manage to catch two of the ladies just as they were leaving to say hello. Yeah, I didn't get to spend any time with them this morning, which was a little bit sad because I love my regular groups and catching up with all of the customers that come along to those. But then I had a couple of customers between then and the next group starting at 2. So I've literally just wrapped up that group and I'm sat down. As crazy as it sounds, it's 4:30 and I'm just sitting down with my lunch. But Thursday is my late day. We have another class this evening which will start at 7, so I definitely need some food to keep me going through them. So for the next half an hour or so I shall be scoffing my lunch. I've got my sock project which I'm working on. I've put in the afterthought heel for the waist yarn for the afterthought heel, so maybe I shall get the foot finished of that today. I'm going to pop on a podcast or two to watch, and when the shop closes I also use the time between shop close and evening class to do some of the boring admin stuff. So I tend to file away all my posts that's come through for the week, catch up, make sure all my invoices are paid and up to date, and do you know, all sorts of financial admin, and think about whether there's any stock that I need to reorder and things like that over the coming week. So yeah, that's the plan for the rest of Thursday. Morning and welcome to Friday. It's 8:30 in the morning. I've not long got up. I've just sat down and had a little bit of breakfast, and I'm just in my living room at the moment, thinking about what the day is going to bring. I don't have to be in the shop until 10:30, so about 2 hours. So I've treated myself to a bit of a quiet start to the day. I have started to unpick the yarn, the waist yarn that I put in for the heel of my sock. I did manage to get the foot finished last night. So yeah, that's my breakfast knitting. I think before I head into the shop I'm going to head up to my craft room and do a little bit of sewing. I've got a few project bag orders that I'm trying to fulfill at the moment, so I think I shall spend a couple of hours at the machine this morning popping in some zips to some of the bags that I've already got cut out, and then that will give me a head start for finishing up those orders over the weekend. UK, we have a bank holiday coming up this weekend, so I'm actually going to be taking Sunday and Monday off, so I get a nice 2-day weekend, which will be nice and hopefully will give me a bit of time to catch up on some of the jobs that I've got at home, such as the project bags that have fallen by the wayside a bit over the last couple of weeks. We've had family visitors over the last couple of weekends, so my sewing time's been reduced a little bit, so it'll be nice to get those orders done and out to the people that have requested them. But back to today, no groups in the shop, so should be fairly straightforward day. I had a small order arrive yesterday, so I need to unpack that and get that sorted. And I also have a new commission knit to start. I'm hoping to start and finish it today. It's just a little baby bonnet, but I'll tell you a bit more about that when I get to the shop later. So it's now 11 o'clock and I have been in the shop for about 45 minutes. Had a bit of a whirlwind start when I got here. I'd completely forgotten that I had a meeting with someone from our local newspaper first thing this morning. I'm going to have a go at placing an advert in the local paper for the shop, just to try it out, see how it goes. We haven't done very much advertising yet. I really wanted to sort of hold off doing that sort of thing until we got our website up and running, but that's taking a lot longer than I anticipated. So we've done a little bit on Facebook, but I thought it might be quite nice to you know, try and increase the footfall in the shop and just remind everyone that we're here. I still have lots of local people who come into the shop and say that they didn't realise that we were here, or they'd heard that Christine was retiring and they thought that we were closing down. So yeah, it'd be nice to hopefully get the word out in the local area that we're still here, and you know, we stock some lovely things. So yeah, give it a go, see what happens. So that sort of happened when I first arrived at the shop, and I just had a telephone call from one of my lovely customers who regularly requests commission knits from me, the lady that I make a lot of baby garments for, and she's received the purple waistcoat that I was making, which you might have seen if you watched my last makes video that I published last week. She was so pleased with that, and she said that everyone has been commenting on how lovely it is. So she's just rung me up to request a couple more garments. So that's happened, and that has led me to switch on my laptop, and I thought I'd quickly show you. I don't know whether you'll find this interesting. I mean, you might not find any of this video interesting, but I use Trello to try and help me keep organised. So I'm just going to grab the camera and flip the view round. So this is Trello on my laptop, and basically it's kind of a to-do list which I store on the computer, and it's online, so I can access it anywhere. But I've set up lots of different boards which help me think about things that I want to do. So I've got boards for classes. That's not my regular classes, but it's a way for me to keep track of ideas for classes that and workshops that I'd like to put on. I've got things that I need to do for social media and marketing, and then I've also got another social media which is some ideas for things that I could post to Facebook and Instagram. I mentioned yesterday that sometimes I don't have a lot of time to think about what I want to put on Facebook each day. So if I'm sitting in the shop and I come up with any ideas, then I post them on that board. I've got an admin board, and I've also, the one that I'm looking at the moment is the makes board. So I'm just going to click on that, and it takes me into the board, and then I've got my lists of things that I need to do, things that I'm doing, and things that are done. These are projects that people have either commissioned me to do, or things that I want to work on for the shop window. So I'm just about to edit that, and I'm going to move some things around. So these colourwork mitts are now done, so I can click those and drag them over to the done board. I'm still working on those. I am also working on the baby bonnets, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about later, so I can move that over to doing. And then I need to add, so I'm going to just put baby jumper, and forgive me for being super slow, I'm trying to do that one-handed, and then I just add that on, and that just reminds me and helps me keep track. I try to keep it in date order. It just helps me keep track of the things that I've got to do. So on there at the moment I've got a commission to sew up a bunch of blanket squares. a lady popped in, and sadly her gran passed away, and before she passed away she'd knitted a whole bunch of squares, so I'm going to sew them up into a blanket for her. I've got the project bags to do. I have got some crochet coasters to make. I've got a pair of socks, and I've just added the baby jumper on. I need to also, and I'll probably do this morning, think about things that I want to make for the next window. So we're approaching September now, and I'd quite like to change the window again mid to end of September. So I shall start coming up with project ideas to add to that. So yeah, that will take up the next half hour or so maybe, and I shall also start searching out for some patterns and yarn for that new commission. I try and put things aside straight away so that I've got a pile in the office, and that means that when I finish one thing I can just go grab the next thing, and I don't have to think about it too much. So it's now 11:45 and I have finished picking out some patterns and putting aside some yarn for the commission knits, and so I thought I'd just quickly show you those before I move on to my next job for the day. So the first pattern that I am thinking about making is this really sweet little baby jacket. It's in a brand new book that's come in just this last week. It's from Sublime, and it is their 21st little Sublime hand knit book. So yeah, this is the pattern that I picked from that. I won't be using the Sublime yarn. It's quite an expensive yarn. It's merino silk DK, so not super easy or practical for baby knits. And although it's a gorgeous yarn, obviously I don't really know the person that will be receiving this jumper, so I don't know how willing they might be to to take care and hand wash a baby knit. So I've actually picked out some Baby Joy yarn, which is from Designer Yarns, and I've been inspired a little bit by the picture. I've gone for a blue, not quite the bright sort of turquoisey blue, but this kind of nice, the colours are not showing exactly as true, but it's got almost like a heathered effect. I think that it's almost sort of denim-like, so I think that will look really sweet in that pattern, which kind of reminds me a bit of a denim jacket with the sort of lapel pockets, although obviously they're a fake detail. So that's the first pattern and yarn combination that I picked out. The second pattern that I'm going to go for is this nice jumper. So I had feedback that they really liked the texture on the waistcoat, or the slip over tank top that I made, the purpley one. So I thought this was quite a sweet, simple little jumper with a v-neck. There is also a round neck version, but I think I'm going to go for the v-neck this time. And there's a little bit of simple texture detail, so it should be quite simple to knit with a little bit of added interest, but hopefully will be quite a nice wearable little jumper. And I think I'm going to make that one in this lovely yarn from Patons, and this is the same yarn that I used for the waistcoat. So it's very good for baby knits because as you can see, it's super wash treated, so it's washable and tumble dryable. And I've picked out a nice sort of heathered grey, which I think this pattern will look lovely in. So and the pattern is from Serdar, and it's pattern number 1753. It's designed for the baby bamboo yarn, but obviously I'm going to substitute this double knit from Patons instead. So that's number 2. And then the third pattern that I've picked out, so I'm going to go for this waistcoat. So the tank top was really popular with the lady and the recipient of the tank top, so I thought I'd actually do a waistcoat version, sort of button down. This pattern is again another one from Serdar. It's pattern number 1927, and it's designed to go with the Serdar Baby Crofter, which is how you get the sort of fake Fair Isle effect. But I'm actually going to give it a go in one of our brand new yarns. This isn't a baby yarn, but it is a wool acrylic blend, and it's nice and super soft. And this is Batik Elements from Stylecraft. So this is a yarn that's new in this week, and it's new to Stylecraft. and I've picked out this which has got some really lovely shades of blue and green, and apparently this little boy is a redhead, so I think the greens in here will go really well with his colouring. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that knits up, and I think this will probably be the one that I cast on first. So I have one more thing to do on my list today in terms of shop organisation, but before I get to that, I've done quite a few bits and pieces this morning. I've been on my feet, so I have decided to treat myself to an hour of sitting down, and I'm going to cast on my next commission knit. So I had a lady who came in last week, and she is another local shop owner actually here in Penarth. Not in the same set of shops where we are, but she popped in and she'd seen a couple of images on Pinterest of little babies in cute little pixie bonnets, and she's got a new granddaughter who will be arriving later on this year. So she showed me the pictures and asked me if I could knit her up a couple of bonnets. So she picked out some yarn while she was here, and she asked me to make two. So she chose some Debbie Bliss baby cashmerino, and for a newborn size you really only need one ball of this. So although this isn't the cheapest yarn, it's just under £5 for 50 grams. It is lovely soft yarn. It's a mix of wool, acrylic and cashmere, and it's lovely for baby knits, and I've got some knitters who will exclusively only knit baby things with this yarn. But for a baby bonnet, £5, it's quite reasonable. So I've made the first one, which is from that colour, sorry. It's a lovely sort of blue greeny grey. The shade's actually duck egg, and it's shade number 340026 for anyone who might be interested. And this is the little bonnet that I've knit up. So it's just a straightforward kind of textured bonnet, and I knit an I-cord, so to tie at the front. It's not the easiest to show, so if you imagine, I know my fist is not as attractive as a cute little baby head, but it sort of sits with the peak at the back, and then you tie it underneath with the I-cord. The original picture that she bought in had a button-up tin, but she wasn't as keen on that, so I managed to find a pattern to make this first bonnet, and I found it on Etsy, and it's a pattern by a lady called Jane Edmond, and it's just called Textured Knit Pixie Hat. I won't show you the pattern, so I don't want to. It's a paid for pattern, and I don't want to obviously give away any of the secret sauce, but I'm sure there are many other patterns out there, and there are probably some free patterns on Ravelry if you search around hard enough. It's quite a simple idea. I probably really could have come up with something on my own if I'd have had the inclination, but it's quite nice to support other designers and makers in our lovely fibre field. So that's the first one, and the second one, which is the one that I'm going to start today, the ladies picked out this lovely pink colour. It's called Light Pink, and the shade number is 340600. For this, I'm actually going to adapt the textured pixie hat, so I'm going to make a slightly bigger size. So the sizes for this pattern are newborn, 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and 1 to 2 years. But there's not actually that much difference in the initial stitch count. So for the second hat, the lady had showed me a picture of a bonnet which had a cable running. So it had the garter sort of edge, but then there was a cable sort of sat just behind the garter. So I think I'm going to cast on a couple more stitches, but I shall use like the stitch counts and the lengths and things from this pattern, and then I'll just add in my own cable at the front there. This hat took me an afternoon and maybe an hour or so in the evening to knit, so I'm hoping to have this finished by the end of the day, even if it means that I take this home and finish it off this evening. But that will then be another commission off of the list, and I can start the next thing. I think the next, I've got to put a dent in sewing up the blanket squares. I have started doing that, but sewing up squares is not the most thrilling job, and the lady who's asked for that one is not really in any rush, so I should probably do a couple of rows of that a week. There's like 140 squares, just to give you an idea of the task at hand. So yeah, and then after that, next thing on my list is a pair of socks, so that will be next on the needles. But I'll probably put the socks and one of the baby knits that I've just shown you will probably go on the needles at about the same time. So yeah, that's my plans for the next hour or so. Cast on, and then I shall make myself some lunch, and then this afternoon I will put away the small order that arrived yesterday, and then with any time left in the day after that, I'll just continue knitting on the little baby bonnet. We're now at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have been sat knitting for a little while. Didn't actually get round to having any lunch. Well, that's a slight lie. I had a bag of crisps, nice and healthy. We've had a few customers pop in. I had one lady who popped in with a query because she was stuck on a knitting pattern. Another lady who came in with a knitwear catalogue, I guess you would say, from a well-known fashion brand. It just arrived on her doorstep this morning, and inside was a lovely cabled cardigan, which she decided that rather than spend the prices of ordering a ready-made garment, that she wanted to see if we could match her up with a very similar pattern, and I'm happy to say we had something almost exactly the same. It was a beautiful cable cardigan with honeycomb cables, and also just sort of straightforward twisted cables, and also a little bit of texture pattern on the sleeves, so she went away super happy. And so now I am going to spend a little bit of time sorting out the order that arrived yesterday. Hopefully get all that sorted out, priced up, and put on the shelves before I leave today. But just before I get on with that, I thought I'd quickly flash you the progress that I've made on the second little bonnet that I've been making. So not too much progress, but trying to do this one-handed. I should have probably propped my phone onto the laptop like I usually do when I'm sat down, but yeah, hopefully you can see how that's working up. A little cable down the front, so I'm pretty confident that I will have this finished off this evening. If I can quickly get the order unpacked, then I might have another hour or so's knitting time before I leave the shop, but I'll take this home with me this evening, and hopefully that can be another project ticked off of the list of commissions. So I've partially unpacked the yarn order that came in yesterday. I've got some lovely chunky yarns from Rowan have just arrived. One's escaped from the bag, so I'll just give you a flash of that. So this is Rowan Yarn Hemp Tweed Chunky. Now this is one of their selects, and it's one of their selects from last year. And for anyone who doesn't know, Rowan now have a set of yarns which they call their core yarns, which are ones that they will continually provide, and then they also come out each season with a selection of yarns which they call their selects. So they're basically, once they're gone, they're gone. So the Hemp Tweed Chunky was a select from last winter, and when I spoke to the Rowan rep when she came in last week, I mentioned that I was after getting in some more chunky and Aran weight yarns in preparation for the change of season, and she said that they still had a fair bit of stock of the Hemp Tweed Chunky, which is a really, really lovely yarn. I'm just going to have a look to see if I can quickly see the fibre content for you. It's a, 75% wool and 25% true hemp. It's nice and soft, and because they're no longer producing it, it's being offered at a discount. So that means I can pass on that nice lovely discount to my customers. So I should be able to offer these lovely 100 grams of Rowan at prices that are really reasonable. So I ordered in 4 colours. Can't really see them too well, but I'm sure I'll show you them again at some point. And then still in the box I have a bag of Rowan hand knit cotton, and that's for a particular customer order. And then still in the box, all packaged up, which I need to open, we should have some of Rowan's new publications. I have fully unpacked my order now. I thought I'd give you a quick flash of the books that have come in. They're all Rowan publications. So I have got this one, which is Rowan Timeless Cocoon, which is a really lovely yarn, and there's some absolutely gorgeous patterns in here. The one that jumps out at me the most in this one is a pattern called K, which is a gorgeous jumper with these lovely textures in the bottom there. Really like that one. So that's new publication number 1. And then the second one is another Quail Studios publication, and this is Brushed Fleece Knits. So it's 8 designs using the Rowan's brushed fleece yarn. There's some really nice sort of oversized baggy jumpers and accessories in here. I'll just give you a quick flash of one just to give you an idea of the sorts of styles that are in that publication. I could definitely see myself knitting a nice cozy winter jumper out of that, and there's a lovely cozy cowl in that one. That one's called Bailey. That might go on to the to-do list for my nieces for Christmas. I'm starting to kind of cogitate on what I will be knitting for people for Christmas now that we're getting into that sort of season. The next publication is called Cute Comfort Knits by Jen Weston, and this is just a really fun sort of collection of cushions and blankets and a few little toys and some snuggly socks. Just really, well, as it says, comforting knitting, so just really sort of snuggly, lovely projects in there. Look at those super cute hedgehogs, and the way they've styled that as well, very autumnal. Might have to knit some of those up for my own autumn window. So there's that one. The next one is North Sea, which is a collection of designs by Marie Wallen, who designs a lot for Rowan. Again, just some really lovely garments, lots of cables and colour work and loveliness. That one's really lovely. The cables in that are beautiful. I don't know if you can see that one. That one's called Arisque. Arisque? I don't know how you pronounce that. So yeah, a couple of copies of that to add to our growing collection of books. And then the final one is one that's a little bit more unusual for the shop. We don't have that many patterns for men, so I've gone for this publication called Journeyman, which is 12 modern classics for men by Martin Storey. And again, Martin Storey is a very well-known designer for Rowan, and yeah, some really nice jumpers. So a couple of really simple projects, and then some nice sort of cabley and colour work jumpers. That one's really lovely, look. All the work that goes into that. And there's a couple of nice accessories in here too, which is quite nice. So there's a lovely hat and a nice cosy scarf. I've been saying to James that I'm going to knit him a jumper soon, so I've got lots more pattern options now that I've got Journeyman in stock in store. So yeah, I just needed to price those up. All I do, I've got a sheet of Easy Peel sticky labels. I ordered a batch from Amazon, so I just pop the prices on the back of each book, add them to my stock spreadsheet, and then I shall be done for the day. I'm probably not going to get much more knitting time. It's now 4 o'clock. Since I first started filming this little unpack the order segment, we've had a couple of customers pop in, which is obviously great for business, but it means that I've got a little bit less time now than I thought I would. So by the time I've priced those up, I think it will be time to think about cashing up and locking up for the day. So yeah, Friday pretty much done. It's bright and early on Saturday morning. It's about 8:30. I am going into the shop just for a couple of hours this morning. We've got some friends coming over, hopefully for barbecue later. The weather forecast is quite nice, but it just means that I'm going to go into the shop, open up, and I am aiming to come home by 11. Sam, we have a Saturday morning class, but Sam leads on that one as well, so I should be able to get away early. I've got a couple of things that I want to do this morning, otherwise I might just take the entire morning off, but I've got to go grab some stuff from the shop that I forgot to bring home in preparation for the 2-day weekend, so that I've got some things to be getting on with on Sunday. I'm planning on having a day off of shop/business stuff on Monday, but on Sunday I shall carry on with some commission knitting and finishing up the project bags that I started sewing. So yeah, I just need to grab some stuff from the shop in preparation for that, but it's quite a pleasant morning this morning. I'm going to take the slightly longer route to work. If I go directly from my house, it takes about less than 10 minutes probably. But I can go a slightly longer way, which I do on occasion, just to break the journey up a bit. So if I get a chance, I'll go past some fairly grand houses, so I'll try and get a quick snapshot of some of those as I go past if it's quiet. But yeah, so hopefully quite a short day today. It's 9:30 now. For the first time ever, I arrived at the shop this morning and there was a queue. Well, when I say there was a queue, there was one lady waiting for me to open, but that's never happened before. She was a lovely lady from Australia over here visiting family, and she said that she'd seen the shop a couple of days ago but was with her family and knew they wouldn't be interested hanging around waiting for her while she browsed around, so she came back this morning and had a good look around and purchased a few souvenirs to take back to Australia with her, which was very nice to meet her. I always love meeting knitters, but whether they're from round the corner or the other side of the world, but it is really interesting when you get to meet other people from different countries. So yeah, that happened, which meant that my usual gentle start to the morning, come in, sit down, have a cuppa, went straight out the window. So I'm a bit at 6s and 8s. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still not quite awake yet. I probably should make myself that cup of tea and see if it gives me a bit of a kickstart. But I have been around the shop and collected the things that I want to take away with me for the weekend. I thought I'd give you a quick flash of the things that I'm taking. So I have recently started a crochet top for myself. I'll talk more about it, I'll show you the pattern and things when I do my next project update video, but I am making it from this lovely yarn. It's one of the new yarns, Batik Elements. It's got gorgeous purples, greys, browns and some rusty tones in there as well, and this yarn came in earlier on in the week and I just haven't been able to stop thinking about this colourway. So on Thursday evening I started a project for me, so I'm going to take all of the yarn home that I need for that top, and on Monday, when I treat myself to a day of working on projects that are just for me, my top priority will be to sew together my Padina cardigan, so that that's finished, but then after that this will be my treat project on Monday. I've also grabbed a couple of skeins of the Elements in that greeny blue colourway for the little baby button-up waistcoat, so I'm hoping to get that on the needles this weekend. That might be this afternoon, depending on how long our friends are over for the barbecue. If not, that'll be tomorrow's cast on. And I'm also thinking I might, if I have time tomorrow, start on the next window display, or start making the things that I need, and I have got an idea that I want to knit and crochet some leaves. I might have said before, but I thought it'd be quite nice to have some sort of falling leaves hanging in the window. So I've grabbed a few skeins. I've had my eye on, as I've been sat in the shop, I've been sort of thinking about this idea, and I've grabbed 4 skeins of Wendy Ramsdale and these lovely colours. Sadly I didn't have a yellowy colour in the Ramsdale, so I'm going to pair with those this skein of Baby Cashmerino. This is a discontinued colourway, but I thought it looks quite nice with those. Hopefully you agree, they're quite nice and autumnal, so I might get started on the leaves if I have time. And the other thing that I just wanted to show you before I stop is I finished the second little baby bonnet that I started yesterday. I have left a message with the lady to let her know that they are ready. She may come collect them today, so I thought I'd quickly flash up to you now just in case. So yeah, this is the second baby bonnet, so exactly the same shape as the first one, but obviously this one's got a stockingette body rather than the textured body, and then I've just put a really simple 4-stitch cable in behind the garter front, and then instead of knitting an I-cord I just braided a few strands of yarn for the tie. So that's what that one looks like, and then I've still got the blue one here as well. So yeah, a pair of super sweet baby pixie hats. Obviously they don't sit quite as nicely on my silly fists as they will sit on a cute baby, but yeah, so that's another commission done, which is brilliant. I'm feeling pleased now I've got those done. The reason that I wanted to have these done is the lady had already paid for these up front. A lot of my commissions I either ask for a deposit, or if I know them really well, if they're a regular customer, I'll just knit and then they can pay at the end. But this lady insisted that she wanted to pay up front, so as she'd already paid, I wanted to make sure that I got these done as soon as I could for her. So yeah, I'm really pleased now that they're both off the needles, and they didn't really take much time at all. It was just finding that time amongst everything else to get them finished and off the needles. So that's great. So yeah, I shall be in the shop for another hour and a half. I think the group will come in about an hour. I don't really have that much to do. I might quickly run the hoover around, as I didn't have a chance to do that yesterday evening before I left. And then if I can't think of anything else that's pressing to do, I might just sit down and cast on this little baby top.